Hello, and welcome to Hexproof from Ward, Episode 4. Today we discuss our favorite one-drop creatures who may be a hit in your commander decks. Enjoy! So I hope everyone gathered a list of their favorite one-drop creatures. Did you?
Let's do it.
Okay. Who wants to share with the class first?
Yep, I've got one little dude. Starting off, I have Wandering Ones. It is a 1/1 creature spirit, notably only printed in Champions of Kamigawa. Doesn't do anything. I just really like the art. So if you check it out, it's just I don't know, it's sort of like Miyazaki inspired to me. It's just a weird little guy wearing like a hat, and there's a whole little group of them. Yeah, it's just a cute little card.
You interpreted this way different than me because I was going off of strictly mechanics. What is this creature doing? And then your first pick is like, I don't know, I thought it was pretty. I, uh, I can go ahead and share since I put everyone on the spot. There's actually two guys who are not too dissimilar, so I'll share them both. This class is kind of like creatures that will hurt you if you kill them. So early drop creatures, they're probably going to die, so you might as well get something out of them. My first pick is the Cacophony Scamp. He is for one red, a Goblin Warrior Phyrexian. And when he deals combat damage to a player, you can sacrifice it. If you do, proliferate. But that's not all. On his way out, he is also going to deal damage equal to his power to any target. So you can play him late game in a Voltron strategy and slap some stuff on there and get damage in. If you get him early, people might not want to block, or if you have something that you can proliferate, it's just a good option. Then something similar, Fireblade Charger, also one drop goblin for red. He has haste if you equip him, or if you, and when he dies, he deals damage to his power to any target. So I just love a little guy with a vendetta. Yeah. Hey Sam, what have you come up with?
I've got two starting off. One of my all-time favorites is Blood Celebrant. For one black mana, you can pay a life, sacrifice a creature, and get mana. I mean, you can't beat that. Oh no, sorry, just pay one life. Sorry, mixed up.
Ooh,
That
value for sure.
yeah, I mean it is a 1/1, but you can get him out and keep him safe. He can actually prove very useful. The
Yeah.
uh the other one that I remember starting off with, my first red and blue deck that I built took me years because it wasn't until Returns of Ravnica that I started. But a Blister Coil Wizard. Oh, sorry, Weird.
Weird.
It's a weird. Uh Hybrid red blue. But it's whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, it gets 1+1/+1 and untap it.
That's a little combo-y guy.
Yeah.
Hey Nathan, what did you find?
So mine are kind of like yours, Josh. Two of them that go together. Champion of the Parish and Champion of the Perished. So Champion of the Parish is a one drop white human soldier. Whenever another human you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. And then Champion of the Perished is the same thing, but it's for zombies. So he's a black zombie. Whenever another zombie you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So two that kind of go together pretty well, and I feel like I like building zombie decks, so I've used Champion of the Perished a couple times.
You love a flavorful foil to another card. Great choice. Then cycling back to Keith, what else do you have on deck for us?
I've got a few more, but my next one would be Spore Frog. It's a 1/1 creature frog, and you can notably sacrifice it to prevent all combat damage. So it's got a nice little fog effect built in.
And you're reanimating that every time you can,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. It's green, by the way. 1/1 green frog.
That's a beautiful choice, Keith. That was on my list too.
Sam, what else do you have on deck?
Or something that can be very big depending on your what your life total is. Death Shadow for one black mana. 13, but if you have a lot of life, it gets weaker. Really good for when you've got not much life left. You just need that one good hit for something cheap. Solid.
Yeah, and he combos with that Asban guy, right?
Yeah,
The
I got comboed by this hard. If it's in your graveyard. Yeah, real hard at like MagicCon one time.
yeah.
I don't
I'll
know
go
the
ahead and get
particular.
into another of my picks. Not too dissimilar from Sam's first one. I have Forsworn Paladin. It is a pet card of mine, one of my favorite one drops. For a single swamp, you get this human knight with menace, a 1/1. You pay one in a black tap, you pay a life and make a treasure token. But then there's a little spicy part next to it. Under that, you pay two in a black. Target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And if mana from a treasure was used to activate this ability, it gains Death Touch until end of turn. That does not have to target your creature. You can just give an opponent's creature Death Touch if it's getting blocked by something you want to get rid of, or if it's blocking something you want to get rid of. And lo and behold, it's gone. So it's just fun little combat trick that you can do on any side of the board. Highly recommend it if you're not running it already. Nathan, what else do you have?
My second one that I'm going to throw out there is a fun little one drop white Esper Sentinel. If anybody doesn't know, it's an
Yeah,
artifact creature.
Boo!
yeah, I heard of that
Whenever an
one.
opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, draw a card unless they pay X, where X is this creature's power. So it can get to be pretty fun.
Yeah, I respect everyone's list except for that one specific card on that one. I'm just kidding, but I've just been burnt by it so many times. Oof.
Next one was kind of popular back when I was playing Magic Arena. It's been a while now, but it's Alseid of Life's Bounty. It's one white, 1/1 enchantment creature nymph with lifelink. You can pay one colorless to sacrifice it, and target creature or enchantment you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. It's an yeah, nice little lifesaver.
Yeah, I like it when it's feeds into like the law and order aspect of white where like it's known to the board state. Your opponents know that you can shut it down and it's just there. Like it's a known state.
Yeah,
You can,
just lurking.
yes, absolutely. Sam, uh, what's another favorite of yours?
Well, I've got two. They're the same creature, but for obviously separate colors. But a Soul Warden and an Essence Warden. Anytime I play a green
Ooh.
white deck, those two are always included, no matter what. Always gain life anytime a creature comes into play. If you got both those out, you usually target it really fast.
Yeah, but if those go unchecked, you're just at like 100 life,
Yeah,
and
those are
everyone's
usually
like, has
like a canary in the coal mine sort of card.
Yeah.
everyone's just praying that they can kill you with commander damage at that point because combat damage isn't going to do it anymore. Yeah. My next one, I actually have two that are in a similar vein to Keith's, where they protect the board state. The first one is Dauntless Bodyguard. It is a human knight for a single planes. It is a 2/1, and as it enters, you choose another creature you control, and then you can sacrifice him, and that creature gains indestructible until end of turn. And then I have another one that does something similar, but it makes the your opponent feel bad when you have to do it, and that is Selfless Savior, where you
Oh,
have a little puppy who is doing the same thing. For a single planes, you get a dog, and then next time your opponent targets your commander with a Doom Blade, you're like, if you do that, the dog has to die. You want to commit to that play still? So, big psychological impact there.
Some impact trimmers, but for your brain.
And if you'd read
Nice.
the flavor text on that card, it says she raised him from an orphan pup and gave him a life of love. With his last act, he thanked her. What a
Oh,
best boy.
no.
By jumping in front of the bus. That's on the secret layer.
The Isekai secret layer.
Oh yeah.
Nathan, who's next on your roster?
My next one is Realm Right. So he's a wizard for 1 blue. As he enters the battlefield, you can choose a basic land type, and then lands you control are the chosen type in addition to their other types. So he's a really nice addition to have if you're playing a 2 color deck. You can kind of make sure that you have both colors kind of right from the jump whenever you throw them out there.
Yep. There's a lot of mana dorks in the one drop in the one slot, but mana fixing is a little rarer, so that is a nice pick there. Now, Keith, if you had to pick another little friend, what would his name be?
District mascot. Speaking of best boys, this is a 1 green, 0/0, but it comes into play with a 1/1 counter on it. It is a dog mount and it has 1 colorless and 1 green to remove 2/1/1 counters from this creature, destroy target artifact, and when it attacks while it's saddled, put a 1/1 counter on it. So you can saddle it for 1. So repeatable, what, artifact destruction, and it just grows and it has +1/+1 counter synergy. Just looking pretty solid over here.
And that one's fresh off the presses. That was just an Aether Drift.
Yep, brand new. And the art is a corgi if you want to check it out. It is super cute.
Now you just want to get it to 9 attack. So, Sam,
Canine.
hear me out. You have 1 mana on your field. Who are you playing with it?
I play artifacts a lot. Probably Disciple of the Vault. Anytime an artifact goes to the graveyard, get someone. Let's see here. Yeah, sorry. Yep, yep, yep. You may have target opponent lose 1 life anytime. I mean, obviously treasures, perfect. Or if you have a way of like creating like a bunch of Thopters or something like that with like an Ashnod's altar or a Phyrexian altar. Don't even have to target any, you don't have to actually go at anybody. You can just sacrifice all your tokens and just win.
I think it's amazing that he's champion of the vault and he was printed before treasures, and now everyone uses him with treasures. So it's so fitting.
Yeah.
So, Nathan, who's next in your 1 drop slot?
Ooh. I'm gonna have to go with Deathrite Shaman. You can pay either black or green. He's an elf shaman, and then you can tap him, and exile target land card from a graveyard, add 1 mana of any color. You can pay a black and tap him, exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard. Each opponent loses 2 life. And then you can also pay a green and tap him, exile target creature card from a graveyard. You gain 2 life. So it's just one of those like ultra utility little fellas that um, I liked playing with when I kind of first started playing, and then um, when he showed back up in Ravnica Remastered, I was like, "Ooh, he's back." I like it.
Yeah, he's super good. I almost picked that one myself.
So, my next one's I'm a sucker for dual modal cards, like flipping cards. My first one is kind of slept on at the 1 drop. It is Reckless Waif. She is a 1/1 human rogue werewolf for 1 mountain, and then she transforms into a 3/2 werewolf. Now, in Commander, it's kind of hard to keep your werewolves, but if you can make it happen, having a 3/2 turn 1 is pretty nice. Then the more consistent one is, of course, Delver of Secrets, who also starts out as a 1/1, but for a blue mana this time. And then you reveal the top card of your library. If it's an instant sorcery, then you get a 3/2 flyer, which has a little more utility to it. But nice having something start out as a 1/1, and then if the board state's right, now you got a 3/2 in some capacity for just letting the card. So it's pretty nice.
And you've got a nice little flying blocker too, if you're able to get it to flip, which is pretty sweet and doesn't happen very often for cheap.
Also, kind of like pivoting, or did anyone else have any like fun utility cards that people might not think can be attached to a creature, like effects that you wouldn't normally associate like with a creature? Okay, well, I have something kind of like that. I have creatures that you can sacrifice to essentially do the effects of instants. So, in that vein, I have Siren Storm Tamer. For a single blue, you get a Siren
Good
Pirate
one.
Wizard who happens to also fly, and you can sacrifice them to counter target spell or ability that targets a creature you or a creature you control. So having like a known counter spell on the board, but you'd be surprised how many time people forget that because he'll just be on the board. He'll be turning sideways in the air all game, and then later someone will try to hit you with something silly, and you're like, oh, I'll just throw him in the
Hmm.
graveyard, and that doesn't happen.
Love that guy.
I'm surprised he didn't make your list, Keith. You're the pirate master.
Yeah, I didn't want to pick too many of the same ones because my next one actually is a pirate, if I want to go ahead. It is Spectral Sailor. It's a one blue, 1/1 with flash and flying, and three colorless, one blue to draw a card. So super good early game. You can flash it in and ping. It's a little evasive, and then it's a really, really good late game like mana sink. You can just crank out card draw like crazy, and pirate synergy, all that jazz. It's really good.
Like, one drops that don't stop being good in the late game are so valuable and such good choices. So, Sam, who's the next little guy on your team?
Well, um, only because I don't see many people playing it, but maybe it's because I don't get out a lot against like other competitions. But I'm a big fan of Hex Drinker. And anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's a one green mana, 2/1, but it's got level up of one. And if you level up between 3 and 7, it's a 4/4. And if you and protection from instants. And then if you get to level 8 plus, it's a 6/6 protection from everything. So for
Yeah, that's a
one
really good
mana,
choice.
yeah, if it's one mana, you can just like maybe protect them. They're not really thinking about it, and you only have to pay one colorless mana to level them up. And if you can just, he'll come out of nowhere and just boom, swing, perfect.
Yeah, the board just watches you build a problem.
Or you can wait and do it all at once, or you can do it in response to. Well, hold on, I don't know if you can do it as a sorcery. Ah, never mind. I would say if you could do it as an instant, you could stop somebody from doom blading it. So.
Hmm.
So, Nathan, who are you drafting next in your one mana slot?
Um, my next choice is going to be coming off of the uh, issue that was brought up in our group about Mill, Hedron Crab. So he's a one blue crab that has landfall whenever a land you control enters. Target player mills three cards. So
You
um,
scoundrel.
yeah, just being a little crazy with the mill. I know people hate mill, but sometimes a little bit of mill is helpful, especially when you're, you know, playing against people that like to play stuff out of the graveyard. Maybe you're just helping people. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Mill takes too much hate. It's a legitimate strategy, and people need to just embrace it.
Yeah, I threw that into my self-mill deck, so definitely a good one drop for that.
So
I mean,
I'm
if
gonna
If you have a black and blue zombie deck, I mean, why would you not throw them in there? That way you can play your zombies out of your graveyard. So,
Yeah, not to
right,
mention like Sidisi, where you get the zombie for putting things in your graveyard, an auto include in that deck for sure.
100%.
The red player in me has to mention a pretty popular one, Monastery Swift Sphere. You get yourself for a single mountain a hasty 1/2 human monk with prowess. This thing can go off like the monstrous strength where you give it or monstrous roll, the one from Eldraine where it gets +2/+1, the monster roll and trample. That's just such a disgusting turn in any format. It's uh she definitely earned her spot like on like probably an S tier one drop if I had to say.
All right, I've got one more, and it has all the keywords. It is Gold Vein Hydra. It is X and a green. I guess that still counts. Vigilance Trample Haste, and it enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. But when it dies, you can create a number of tap treasure tokens equal to its power. So you can double dip a little bit there.
Yeah, for 1 mana, as long as you've got like any anthems out, anything to give you like a static +1/+1s.
Yeah, great +1/+1 synergy too. And get some extra +1s on there.
Yeah.
I feel like Keith kind of committed tax fraud by having a Hydra in
And
the
X.
one drop episode.
Yeah, a little bit. Tax fraud and free tap treasure tokens.
So Sam, you got anyone else left on your team?
Uh, yeah. I don't see many people playing it, although I think I've maybe seen it on maybe some YouTube videos. But Norn the Weary, he's a 1 red mana 2/1. But the fun thing about it is whenever a player casts a spell or a creature attacks, you exile him and then return to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. So
And and I like the flavor of that. The weary, he's just like, ah, I'm so tired of this. I'm too old for this. But then he bounces back and comes back around. Just poor guy can't take a break.
yeah, and if you have anything for like any time a creature comes into the battlefield, he is always. I mean, you could do it. You do it with yourself, someone else playing something. It's just you're always getting value from him because he's always getting those ETB effects.
Yeah, they made another Norn and Duskmorn, and he kind of helps out your other creatures. So it says whenever a creature you control becomes black, you can exile it, and then you may play that card from exile this turn. So
So Nathan, who else do you have?
I think the only one I have left is Delighted Halfling. Um, one drop Halfling Citizen from Lord of the Rings. You can tap it and add one colorless, or you can tap it and add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast a legendary spell, and that spell can't be countered. So it's pretty nice when you're trying to get out your commander that everybody likes to snipe right away, or any other legendaries that you've got. Maybe throw it in a all legendaries deck or something like that.
I have a few left to mention. One is for a single forest, you get to grow a problem for the table. He is Experiment One. He is a human ooze. He has evolve, so he's going to get bigger as long as you're playing creatures with a greater power or toughness, which in green is hardly difficult. And if you remove two +1/+1 counters from him, you regenerate him. So he gets beefy fast. You dump your hand. Now he's huge. And someone goes for a board wipe. Remove two of those counters. You still have a big creature on board. He is so hard to get rid of. And I don't see him in that many decks these days. Like back in the day, like the early Commander days, the 20 teens, I saw him all the time. Seldom a deck I see this gentleman in, and he does so much work.
yeah, super good. You don't see regenerate anymore. either.
Wizards, bring back regenerate.
I I think that's because a lot of the destroy spells nowadays is can't regenerate. There's not many cards that say otherwise.
I mean, still, it protects it from combat and massed board wipes for the most part, so you might as well bring it back.
Josh, I found another flip card that you might want to add to your fun flip cards for one drops.
Oh, please educate me.
Grist, Voracious Larva.
That's a
So
cool.
it's a legendary creature insect for one green. Has death touch whenever Grist or another creature enters the battlefield under your control. If it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, you may pay one green. If you do, exile it and return it transformed, and it becomes Grist the Plague Swarm, which is a planeswalker. Uh, and it starts out at 3, and you can +1 it for to create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token. Then mill 2 cards, put a death touch counter on the token if a black card was milled this way. You can do a -2 and destroy target artifact or enchantment, and then you can -6 for each creature card in your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 1/1 black and green insect. So it's a little fun.
Oh, absolutely. The Planeswalker at the one slot creature spot, that is a spicy pick. That is, and is that unique to itself? I know there was in the was it Commander's Masters that they started to do that, or Modern Masters, the one cycle of one drop into Planeswalkers. Uh
Yeah, it was Modern Horizons 3. There's a whole
Yeah, that's
cycle of
that's where
those.
Grist is from.
Yeah, there's a Sorin, a Tameo, a Ral, and then a Johnny that flip over.
I think the last one on my list is a just a legacy pick that has been there for us for like the past 30 years. And their name is Llanowar Elves.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're playing in 1995 or 2025, you are happy to see that in your opening hand. That is going to ramp you to your next play. It can get you to a place where you could not be without it, and it's still played. It's been being played in not just elf decks, but so many green decks for the past 30 years. So a lot of respect for the original Manadork Land of War Elves.
I thought you were gonna say Birds of Paradise, but Land of War Elves is the OG.
You know, Bop does also filter and stuff, but I feel like Land of War Elves is more accessible. I feel like that's the people's Manadork.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Are there any effects that you want to see Wizards put on a one drop moving forward?
I'd like to see more Wither.
Yeah, Wither's great.
Not not cheesy like Infect or Toxic, but something nice.
I'd like to see some shadow pumpers. So ones that have shadow that you can
Oh, okay.
make bigger. Uh, it's kind of like Sam's pick of the Hex Drinker, where you can kind of just make it insane and has protection from everything. But I think that would be cool. We already talked about that before, but bring it back.
Can't go wrong with Shadow.
I think they did a lot of this with Ixalan, I feel, but I feel a one drop that can, if you meet the criteria, like would like turn into like a godless shrine would be pretty cool. Like a devoted like a devotee or something like that to some shrine, and then they like become the shrine. If that exists and I'm just sounding really dumb right now, then please grill me, but I do think that would be a great card.
No, that sounds awesome.
Moving forward, I will have people make larger lists because we burnt through these. I learned a lot of new cards.
Yeah, the list is really long. Uh, I know I sent it to everybody, but it's kind of crazy that there's 1,102 legal commander one drop cards.
Yeah, I
It's a
would.
pretty big list to choose from. A lot of them do a lot of the same things, but I mean, quite a few of them are really good to be auto ads depending on what your deck's trying to do and can get quite a bit done.
I know I have to say this because I know there's a lot of green players that are probably, if whoever does watch this, you have to give big props to an Allosaurus Shepherd, if anybody knows what that is.
Share with the class in case someone's not familiar.
Yeah, if you bring up cards, I know that you're an encyclopedia inside of your head, but people that listen might not be. So if you want to let them know what it does, that'd be awesome.
Well, it's a one green mana 1/1. It can't be countered, and green spells you control can't be countered. But the big thing is it's a 6 mana ability, and until end of turn, each elf you control has a base power and toughness of 5 and 5 and becomes a dinosaur in addition to its other types. I mean, a lot of people don't do the 6 mana just because not that big of a deal, but the fact that it's just one green mana and all your green spells can't be countered. There's a lot to reward with it just
Yeah,
for
that's
being
a
a
very
simple
strong.
1/1.
Yeah, that's pretty dirty.
Yeah.
Going
Then
back to the like crazy count of one drops throughout Magic, I was sorting by release date and just looking at the oldest cards first. And the oldest cards are just so simple in comparison. They were just, all flavor and just trying to put their art out into the world. But now all these cards are just stacked with keywords and everything is just incredibly strong.
yeah, like Savannah Lions, a 4 planes, a 2/1 cat was a rare when it first came out. It was like meta breaking to have 2 power on a 1 drop. And now in Foundations, it came back out as a uncommon.
Yep. It keeps I'm looking at the prints now. If it flip-flops between common and uncommon even.
I mean, like the one of the ones I had mentioned, the Dauntless Bodyguard is uncommon. Literally, Savannah Lions essentially 2/1 for 1 planes. Only you get to sacrifice it and give another creature indestructible. So it's like poor Savannah Lions, where you once were and where you are now.
Yeah, the worlds between these characters. It's crazy.
I know we're playing off the cuff a little bit right now, but do you have like a favorite uh tiny like low to the ground commander, like favorite commander for like low to the ground creatures?
Like you just talking like anything
Yeah, one drop.
that's well, like anything that's like weak powered, like just something that's maybe it's got some utility to it, but it's like a 1/1.
Uh that or one that synergizes with weenie strategies.
Oh, mine is Yoshimaru. It's a one white mana dog. Yoshimaru, the ever faithful. Whenever another
Oh,
legendary permanent enters about you control enters, it gets a 1/1 counter on it. Oh, I mean for 1 mana, it's just I love it. I run that partnered with a um Rayhan deck, which is a black green and makes it an Abzan deck, and just obviously you've got legendary artifacts, legendary creatures, legendary lands, and just legendary matters, and it's just for being a 1 mana, and even if somebody kills him, you can just so cheap, just keep bringing him back. So good.
yeah, then people are like, did I really want to use my control spell for something that's just gonna cost him 3 next time?
Well, that and I can always throw out as you really want to get a phone call from the ASPCA. I don't think you want that, so maybe don't block it. Don't do. Just let it go. Just let it attack.
Sarah McLaughlin knows your address and she'll send people. Okay, does everything resolve? Anything else anyone want to shout out?
No, I think it resolves. I think we're good.
This episode resolves.
Thanks for listening to Hexproof Reward. You can find all episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Feel free to follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky. We'll be back next week.